Hi, good morning everybody. My name is Anya Devine. This is a painting I started on a Zoom call yesterday. It's on canvas and it's actually a pad of canvas, not paper but real canvas. So I've just torn a page out and it's my first time working on canvas for a while. I actually generally feel more fluent on board or like flat paper that's been gessoed. No, Maisie, she keeps taking my socks. That's my dog, Maisie. And welcome to you who are here for the first time. Thanks very much for joining me. This is my living room, and I've been using it kind of as a studio, really. I still, I have been saying that I'm going to go out to the garden studio, and I did spend some time out there yesterday. It's lovely, but everything is still kind of set up in here. So, and I wanted to do a bit more to these flowers. I started, as I say, on a Zoom call yesterday. So it's oil on canvas. There's a little bit of acrylic underneath. And I wanted to explain the flowers in a little bit more detail. The focus yesterday was on pattern, so that's why I did the jug. But I wanted to carry on explaining the flowers in oil, just to offer some help there. So I'm going to focus maybe just simply on one tulip. If I feel the need, I'll maybe put you a little bit closer, because I know the backlight isn't great. But this is the best I could find for in terms of position for now. Okay. Just need to put my sock away. Maisie keeps taking my socks off the drying rack. Okay, so yeah, so I think I'll begin, by putting down something dark for the green in the flowers, just to make a bit of sense of the space around this tulip here, and then I can place that tulip a bit more clearly, possibly. So I'm half closing my eyes and finding where the darks are in the green of the tulip leaves. And I'm mixing together now some ultramarine blue and some Jenkins green. It's a dark green. My palette knife had a little bit of grey on it, so I just wanted to clean that off, because I want it to be a good clean dark rather than a pasty dark that's got white in it. I'm just using the cover of a takeaway carton here. Okay, so some green and blue mixed together. And as I say, I'm half closing my eyes in order that I can see more clearly the darks and lights. And I think I'll use this 3/4 inch brush, so that I don't go into too much detail too early on. And I'm using the paint quite thinly now. So I see that there's a kind of a triangle of shadow. My eyes are half closed now. I'm not doing anything too detailed. I just want to find the direction and tone of the dark, almost triangular shape that I'm seeing there. And then to the right of the tulip there's another little bit area of dark. I mean, this is quite a dark green that I'm using, but I can always adjust it later on with the oil paints. It stays wet, so it's possible to make it a little bit lighter by thinning it down after, or putting another layer over it or something. Right, so just finding where the dark areas are in the leaves. Okay, in order that I can more clearly position this tulip here then. And as I was saying on the call yesterday, it's a good idea to use thin paint when you're describing dark areas and thicker paint for the lighter areas. That seems to me to be quite a good rule of thumb. So I've put a little bit of lemon yellow into that dark colour now. And what am I going to do with that? I think I may need to put some, yeah, maybe use it here. Because this leaf that actually touches the flower isn't quite as dark as the surrounding greens. So I'm working up to the light, I suppose you could say. Just filling in. The paint here on the rim is very thick and they keep picking it up. So I'm going to overcompensate now and darken the green so that it doesn't, so that it reads as being clearly different from the jug there. It doesn't pick up some of the light on the jug. And just to make sure that it's not, to make sure that it's clearly separate from the jug, I'm just going to re-establish that edge. So using a bit more lemon yellow in that dark green again. Just to clarify the sharpness of the light of the jug as it meets the darker areas in the leaves. And then there's a leaf turning away here, and as it turns away it's in shadow, so that again has a similar tone to this one. And then there's one over here too. I kind of like the way that it was described, just with a swipe of acrylic, so I don't want to completely obliterate that feel, but I do want to give it a bit more substance. Of course the light might be slightly different now because it's morning rather than afternoon. I started this in the afternoon yesterday, and so there wasn't much light coming from the front of the house then. So this side of the jug was a bit darker than it is now, but I'm okay with that. I can remember enough just to kind of compensate on the side of making things a little bit darker on this side, a bit lighter on that. Did you see my hand there? Yeah, darker on that side, lighter on that. Yeah, okay. You see, I felt it was important for you to be able to see the vase rather than to be able to see me, but I suppose we can do a bit of both. And I'll probably just bring you a bit closer so you can see the painting as it happens, because I want you to see the detail of things in here now. So moving towards the mid-tone, that'll stop bouncing after a while. Sorry, when I move it, it's a bit shaky. So there's another darkish green back here. It's quite nice finding all the little folds in the area of the leaves, and the difference in tone. So which, you know, finding out is this one that's overlapping. This is a little bit darker than the area that I'm seeing in there, and then this here is darker again. Okay, and then of course there's the stem, which is probably the lightest of the greens in that area, and the surrounding shades. So I think the pink and the tulip there is actually oil paint, so it'll probably be, oh no, it's acrylic, I'd say. I was going to say it'll probably be still wet, but it's dry. Whether it's dry oil or dry acrylic, I don't know. But anyway, I'm not going back to using acrylic, so it's fine. So really it's almost like paint by numbers at the moment, and finding the shape of the part I'm painting and finding the tone of it. Sorry, I think I'm hitting this. Okay, finding the shape of the part I'm painting and the tone of it, and then just filling it in, and then finding the next colour and filling that in, and so on. Just picked up a little bit of white here because I want to make that part a little bit lighter. And actually up here, it's maybe not quite so whitish. It should maybe have a little bit of lemon yellow in it, that colour. Maisie's eating something. What are you eating, Maisie? Oh. She's eating Erin's Bluetooth speaker. She's got my other sock as well, but I'm just going to let her at it. Keep her going for a while. At least she doesn't chew the socks really. Just throws them about. Okay. Yeah, so I wanted to make this a little bit more cadmium yellow. That leaf up there is looking a bit too kind of blue-white. Blue-white. No, Maisie. A bit more yellow on this bit as well. So I'm kind of pushing in the paint really. I've not used much tarps on the brush and there's no linseed oil. I'm just trying to make the paint adhere to the space as best I can. Just paint and brush. Wanted to dark that down again there. So when a part gets a bit too light, just wanted to find out how much of that leaf is actually dark again and paint the dark up to meet the light again in order to capture the turn of it away from the light. Okay. And there's a dark bit here too. Little stem coming up. And then there's a stem going over that way. Or some sort of shape, I don't know what it is. Oh, it's probably from the friezes actually. Okay, so this is a study more in the tulip, and I'm probably going to take Maisie out for a walk. Then I won't be taking too long over this. As you can tell, this needs must here. So what I'm doing now is mixing some white paint into the cadmium yellow that was mixed into the blue and green mixture. So it's if I was to start again, it's cadmium yellow mixed with white and a touch of ultramarine blue. I'm just doing it over there on the paper. I know the backlight means that you can't see so well. But a little bit more yellow in. And it's good to look at the colour that you're aiming for as you're making it. As I do that, I want to put some lemon yellow in really, because to me it doesn't look yellow enough on here. So I think the lemon yellow addition will help. Maybe even a bit more lemon yellow. It's trial and error really, you know, this whole thing. And noticing when you put something down if it's hitting the mark or not. And that's still not really hitting the mark for me. I think I want more cadmium yellow and white. So I'll just put that there. And then there's some sort of a shape here that's got a similar tone to it. It's a bud from the freesia, I think. And of course the other stem over in this direction will also be light yellow. So I'll just put that in while I've got it on the brush. Oh, I've made it too high up altogether. I've made it too low down here, I think. It needs to extend more from here. Yeah. Okay, so that'll actually be background now there. I can paint the background over that rather than adjust it now. And I picked up a little bit of the colour that I had used for the tabletop, which is like a silvery blue, because it seems close enough to the light on the leaf, but then I mixed in some of the yellow into it to make it a bit closer again. It wasn't exactly the right shade, but it's a funny colour. The light falling on the tulip leaves is almost a silvery blue. That's Lily bounding up the stairs. So as I say, I was working up to the light. Now I'm finding those bits of light having done the dark and the mid-tone in the leaves, now I'm finding the lightest tones in there. Stand back. Yeah, it's a kind of a chiseling out really. I think that light tone could also be used on this leaf, just a little bit there to extend it down a bit. Okay, and for this, yeah, that needs a bit more of a subtle change of tone. It's a bit sudden how it changes from light to dark there, so I just subdue it, make it a little bit darker as it enters into the vase then. I wonder if you can see that at all. I think you can. Okay. Now I need to give those brushes a wash, and I'll start doing something in the tulip. So I'm going to paint this tulip and then I'll stop. That'll be the tutorial over for today. So my eyes are half closed now, and I'm looking at where the light meets the dark in that tulip, and also the folds of the shapes of the dark shapes here. There's triangular shapes and things that I think would be helpful to find. So I'm just going to, I actually have quite a dark greenish colour on the brush already, on the palette knife already, and so I just put some alizarin crimson into the colour that was on the palette knife, which was green and blue, and that alizarin crimson mixed with the green and blue gives me a colour that's, I think, dark enough. Gosh, it feels like the backlighting is really makes it hard for you to see. I don't know if it would help to do that. That might be a bit better. I can just about see over the top. Sorry. I couldn't see very well there, so I had to do that. Okay. So now I'm finding the dark interior of the tulip. Yeah, I think actually that needed to go a bit higher, that dark. It's up there like an extension of the edge of it. And then it comes down here. And I'll just use a brush dipped in turps in order to lift out the dark that was there. And I'll wipe away just before it, yes, because I want to find the shape that I'm really seeing there, which is like this, and then it's there. And there's some folds in the front here now as well. They're not this dark, but it's helpful to describe it quite dark for me first, so that I know the position of things, and then I'm able to make it a bit more subtle with the next layer, I suppose. But even already I want to make it more subtle because on this side there's a nice light, maybe it's reflected light. I think it's got some cadmium red in it, so I'm just going to make a colour that's brighter with white and cadmium red to describe the edge on the left side there. That's just like, as I say, it feels like reflected light or something. Kind of. No, when I have closed my eyes, it's not that bright really. So it might be more distracting to have it too bright. So I just lift off some of that. Yeah, the half closing the eyes thing is really helpful. So it lets you know when you're making things too light, because the colour of them is light. And so to me that actually, now when I look at it in relation to the brighter side, that does read as being too light and too white. So I'm going to put some cadmium red into it. And as we move down here, I'm half closing my eyes again and just noticing that it just needs to be subdued a bit more, that bright colour. That's okay. And the same kind of reddish colour I can put in here. There. be no harm now to make up the lightest colour altogether there, and I'll do that by holding the piece. I'll hold this up to see the colour that I'm aiming for as I'm making it. And the colour, the tulip that I'm doing now, you see, is the one in the middle there. So I'm looking at that and I'm wanting to explain the lightest parts of that flower. So I'm using white first and the cadmium red into it. So white and cadmium red are the two colours that I assume will work, at least for some parts of it. I think it's darker than I had thought it was when I put it onto the painting, so I'm using it more as a mid-tone now, or not quite the brightest. Yeah, it's possibly used there, and I think I could put it in there too. So I'm scooping it up now to lay it down quite thickly here. It seems to me like there's a yellow needed in the mix. It's a little bit cool, the pink, but at first I'm just putting it down in order to cover the dark that was there. And I think that colour is truer down here. That kind of cool whitey pink colour seems to be located down here, and as I'm painting it I'm changing the shape of it slightly because I noticed it was coming down a little bit more on that side. And there's with my eyes half closed, I noticed that there's a run of lighter colour in a vein up the centre of the tulip flower there. So this is a fairly methodical approach to painting a tulip. Other times I might just stick on a bit of paper and leave it alone. But I wanted to go into a little bit of detail on painting flowers in oil, and so that's what this is for. It might not be what you feel like doing today, and if that's the case, have a look at some of the other more lively videos. There's other ones that are much swifter, I suppose, than collage and things, where you can get there faster using mixed media. But this is more of a methodical approach to painting a flower in oil paint, in the way that I like to use oil for flowers. And I've located the flowers really close to the window there, so so they're really catching as much light as they can. I'm going to try and establish that light now on the flower, that one that's overlapped, maybe a little bit more yellowish. There's a hair on it, so it's really thickly painted. You can maybe see the consistency is quite thick there. And then yeah, maybe do the slightly browner colour of the one in shadow. In here it's a little bit more muted, the tone, so I just put some burnt sienna into the mix there to make it a little bit less red. Just to subdue the colour there a little bit. I mean, I might get on to painting the rest of the flowers as well sometime, but just today I wanted to do at least one flower in oil. And we'll be having a break now after. On Sunday's the last call, the last flower painting call, and there'll be a break then for a few weeks before I start on the landscape course. So it's a welcome break, I think, for everybody involved in the courses, particularly us who've done two. I've been teaching two, and some people attended too, and that made it was quite a long extended period of creative expression, which is lovely and exhausting at times. So well done to everybody who's managed it. I'm just going to put a little bit more of the colour of the tabletop into this, because it seems to me like that's got a silvery feel to it as well. And if I was to half close my eyes, I might have made it darker. Yeah, with my eyes half closed, it looks like there's a touch more ultramarine blue in it. So just put that in. I kind of like that it's bright blue. It isn't really what I'm seeing, but I quite like the blue coming in there, so I'm going to leave it for now. And I think maybe that same blue could be mixed with the white and the pink in order to make a kind of a steely, I don't know, it seems like there's that colour could be used along here somewhere too. There's quite a few different colours in the tulip, you know, and it's satisfying to find them. But I would recommend keeping your eyes half closed. That's one of the truer, I think, one of the clearer ways of seeing. It's kind of a paradox, really, isn't it? Half close your eyes in order to see clearly. But I think the thing is that it distinguishes parts from each other and allows you to select what's important. It distinguishes tones from each other and allows you to select what's important and what really it is that'll make the shape of what you're seeing. So I'm standing back regularly and keeping an eye on the darks and lights. Just reminding myself there that really this is significantly darker than what I have it. So before making this brighter, I want to diminish the tone on that side. And I might even use, yeah, so again, half closing my eyes, I might even use this alizarin and blue mix to make a, because it'll mix with the colour that's already in the tulip as well, like, in order to, as I say, to darken down this petal and the one beside it. Now I'm leaving a ridge because it does have a kind of a brightness at the edge that's quite appealing, and it's warm, and then it's dark again in here, and it's a slightly different dark from what's out there, so I'm going to use the burnt sienna for that dark. I don't want those two colours to be exactly the same on those two petals. So this is more of a brownish feel until we get to the blue. Stand back. Yeah, there's some sort of pleasing geometry in flowers. It's quite nice to be curious about and really try and find the particular character of this flower. So I just wanted to deepen the tone with some neat ultramarine blue there. I think I'll use it again to darken this bit up here, which is probably the darkest part of the whole flower in there. Okay, and I could use some of that blue down here while it's on the brush in those bits that are coming up to meet the flower, the greenery. Just putting blue on. Okay, but I'm not happy with those two because they're too samey. This needs to extend further down, and it's needing to be a different colour from the one on that side. So I'm just using sap green mixed with some white, yeah, in order to paint the light that's on that little bit there. And I could use the same clarity. The paint is quite clear on the brush to do the curve, that leaf there. And maybe I'll gradually turn, yeah, there's just something a little less bright. Something not quite as dark actually as the leaf was there. And as I stand back, I kind of take it all in again, you know, knowing that this could happen everywhere, or it could be just that I might focus only on a few and leave unpainted parts as well. Now there's a nice yellow-green leaf there too. I keep needing to half close my eyes, because my temptation is to err on the side of making tones too similar to each other. And when I half close my eyes, it allows me to really see that actually one side of this leaf is significantly darker than the other. Not that I'm actually doing it yet, but just even noticing it is helpful. And there's other things I'm noticing as I'm doing that as well. There's a light crescent shape that's here somewhere. It breaks up that dark shadow, which would be welcome. Just a little bit of a light shape coming through in a printer, because it's not that light. Okay. Yeah, that's okay. And so I was saying that I needed to darken down a bit of that leaf. Use a bit more. This is sap green, I think, now. Just to darken down that side a little bit. As it turns away. And that's got more of a blue-green quality as it turns towards the flower. And there comes a point too where you need to, you kind of decide, actually enough, no, stop the fiddling with all the tones. We can't do a completely exact replica of every single leaf, but just to capture something of the overlapping geometry of the tulip leaves is quite a pleasing thing to do. There's actually a leaf that curves up and around there. It's now catching the light, which is lovely, in front of the stem. Around there. And I can make it clearer by painting the green shape of the leaf, the outside triangular green. That's one way of making it a little bit clearer that it's a leaf. And the other thing is that I can do a very nice, I just need to find a really good clean brush now, because I want to get it at the edge, shimmering edge of light that's on the edge of that leaf. And I'm going to use just plain titanium white for that edge. Mix it here. And then I'll scoop up. I don't know if I can manage to get a really fine edge on the edge of this brush. Yeah, it looks to me like it needs to be a really thin white line that's on that edge there. And I'm placing my knuckle on the paper to keep my hand steady. I'm kind of turning it so I'm following the arc of my hand. That's what I wanted to do. That's okay. Make that a little bit lighter there. And then make this a little bit lighter here. And then I'll go back to white again, even straight out of the tube. For I think it's not only white though, no, it does need to be something else in there. There's a magenta colour here. Just wondering if that's it. Yeah, I think that'll work. Magenta mixed with white to get something of the feel of the brightness of this petal here. It's an unusual flower really, because parts of it have got that cool purpley feel and other parts are more peachy. This edge here feels to me to be a little bit more of the cooler purplish pink. purplish pink tone, I think. And then I could use something to marry the two brights there. So this is a straight line. Could be quite dark in there actually. My eyes half closed. That reads as being quite a dark inside vein. And of course it didn't end up staying that dark because of the white that was already on there that I mixed with. So Erin is going to be 18. My middle daughter Erin will be 18 next week. Not this weekend, but next weekend. And she's getting a new carpet for her bedroom for her birthday. So she's great. She's ordered and got the whole thing organised. That's the part that I'm not so keen to do, is the organising of things like that. But once, if they know what they want, I think it's great. Then I can just fund it, I suppose. But especially when it's something practical like that, it feels a really nice thing. It's a bit sad, is it? It doesn't always have to be practical. Right, so I'm just taking some of the brightness of the red out of that too. Gosh, it's interesting. When I look at the tulip now, it's got very little colour in it here. And I think what I need is the cadmium red back into that area, because it is a lovely colourful tulip. Although you can't see it. Yeah, it's got that more of a peachy quality to it. Now that I'm seeing it clearly again. Some parts of it have that pinkish thing, but in here it's more the peachy colour. That would be the general colour of the flower, I think. Quite a nice thing. Oil paint mixes in a very satisfying way. The thickness of it is sometimes really pleasing, Okay. Yeah, and probably this could do with being a touch darker than it is as well. Just going to make it slightly darker. It's funny, the leaf is unfurled a little bit, even as I've been painting. Really want to clarify this edge. I think there's something about clean sweep at the arc, the edge of the tulip, that makes it feel like a tulip. And maybe here as well. Clean edge to it. Yeah, I feel like I'm okay with that tulip now. I don't know if I want to do that level of detail in all of them, but it's been quite nice bringing it in there. Before I go, I'm going to use what I see to be a background colour coming in here. I thought it was green, but it's actually the wall behind, and I want to make that colour the wall behind in oil paint, and use it here and there to depict the background coming through between the leaves. So I'll just do that before I go in that triangle, and then that'll be me. So the wall was an ultramarine blue and Van Dyke brown mixed together with white, or in the case of the background it was really just mixed together on top of the white of the canvas, and that's what gave it the lighter tone. But now I'm mixing it with white to get the lighter tone. And when I say lighter tone, it's still significantly darker than the tulip beside it here. So I'm going to bring the background colour up to meet the tulip and to describe the underside of the other tulip that's there. And it's a triangle of dark grey here too. And you can hardly tell the difference between that and the green, so I need to distinguish that from the green a little bit more. And when I was saying it's got white in it, this grey, it's still one of the darkest parts of the background. This island of this triangular island of background in between the flowers and the leaves. So I want to make that leaf a little bit lighter to the left of that triangle of background. So I'm just mixing sap green with some white, and I'll turn it this way so that it lays on hopefully quite thickly. No, I think I need more white in there. Yeah, I'm holding the palette up now so I can see the colour that I'm aiming for as I'm making it. That's better. And it does need to be a little bit lighter, I think. Okay, so I've got something that I think is the colour. And it being thicker will make it read as being lighter as well, of course. Okay, and that tulip does seem to be catching the light behind the other. Sorry, that leaf does seem to be catching the light behind this tulip, just at the top. Put another layer of the background on to tidy up that edge, to give it the clean feel of the edge of the tulip leaf. Yeah, and then to the other side of that leaf is more background, and it would help me, I think, to identify that tonally. So the background over here now is lighter than this side of the leaf. So you want it to read as the same wall, but lighter on this side than over here. Just putting a bit of the lighter colour into it. And as you do more of the wall, it would read more as wall colour, you know, when it's in other places as well. I suppose a good place for me to put it would be over here, and then I'd stop. Okay, so I'm mixing more of the blue and brown together, a bit more blue, and now I'm going to find the edge here where the jug stops in its brightness and the dark of the background colour begins. in its darkness. And there's a very light leaf there catching the light that I'll later probably paint that one in. Okay. Got kind of a sore arm from holding it up, which, as I would say in a workshop, is a sure sign you need to stop. I'm a bit more involved at the weave of the canvas. There's more rubbing in. I find it has to be, in order to really get the paint to do what I want, I need to exercise a bit more elbow grease, alright, like. Okay. So that's background coming up to meet the freesias now, which are opening more every day. And I suppose it wouldn't be any harm as a final move to get rid of that stem that was located in the wrong place, and put the background colour over it. Actually, in order not to be creating a new colour, I'm just going to clean off the colour that was there already, wipe it away, and then I can put the new background over. Okay, and I'm just finding the position of that tulip. It begins about there. And then the leaf, and then the spout of the jug. And I can just let it come out. I'm not decided whether I'll put the line of the piano in or not. So for now I'll just dissipate this edge a little so that it reads as where the tulip will begin. Yeah, so that tulip starts about there. Just try and get the curve of it. Yeah, that's okay. So the edge that I'm interested in is the edge where the tulip stops and the space around it starts. So I want to diminish the clarity of the edge of the outside of that dark shape. Do you get me? Like, I want that edge to be the one that's noticed, just for now anyway. And to go up there to describe where the freesia flower begins to. Beautiful freesias. Okay. If you look up my YouTube channel, you'll find freesias in oil that I painted last year. It's quite a satisfying exercise. I think it was a much quicker video than this one. It's funny, you know, I keep noticing things that I want to. The thing that I've noticed there that I want to address is the colour of the jug on that side now. I want it to stand out now from the background just a little bit more. So I've created a creamy colour to represent the shadow side of the jug. The creamy coloured background, you know, here it's almost white, but over here the background colour is a bit creamier. And I want to establish it a bit more fully now that the grey background has been painted on. But I need to be careful too that I don't make it too light. It's placing on some little areas of thicker paint there, because that's I think that's acrylic, and I'm making the colours not dissimilar in oil. I think it's about the same. I'm aiming for the same colour in oil. I'm just putting it on more thickly. I'd say I'll stop there now. I'll show you the painting a little bit more closely without the light behind it. So that's what I was looking at there, and that's the painting. I could maybe take you off and just let you come right in. I'll take off the microphone. Yeah, so there's the jug, and then up for the tulip that I painted there today. I'll maybe go back so that you can see the full thing again. Like the thing, the microphone or the stand is in the way a wee bit there. Sorry. Okay. All right then. So there it is, and this is Anya Devine saying thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you for another stage of this painting, no doubt. I'll do maybe a little bit more to it. I could do a bit more explaining of the pattern now, I think, and yeah, like some of the other flowers, it'd be quite nice to at least extend these ones over here. Okay, thanks very much for watching me doing the painting. Bye.